Hey guys, this video is a lesson on slope, and we're just going to focus on a few different things. First, we're going to focus on how to find the slope of a line when you are given a graph. Then we're going to focus on how to find the slope of a line through a pair of points when you're given two coordinate points. After that, we're going to find the slope of a line when you're given the slope-intercept form of a line or a line that's not in slope-intercept form. So after we do this quick lesson, you're going to have a classwork assignment, and I'll even help us out with a couple examples in the classwork, and then you'll do the rest on your own. So let's get started. Slope. What is slope? Some people might remember that slope is represented by the letter M in algebra. M is the constant that we use, the letter, to represent an unknown slope in an equation, or goes in the place of where the slope would go in an equation. And some people describe slope with words. Maybe you describe slope as the rise over the run. When you have a positive rise, that means it's going up. If you have a negative rise, it means it's going down. As for the run, if you have a positive run, it's going to the right. If you have a negative run, it's going to the left. But still, what the heck is this? We still have a formula. The rise is the change in the y values. These are subscripts, sub 2 and sub 1. And then this is x sub 2 and x sub 1. Where do these come from? These come from two ordered pairs. If you have x1 comma y1 and x2 comma y2. It's just saying that you have two different ordered pairs. Now you could pull those two ordered pairs from a picture, from a graph, or from an equation. You have options there. So remember, y goes up high. Couple of other things about slope is that you should take notes on and write down. As an example, if you have a slope of 2 over 3, if that's your slope, remember that a positive over a positive is actually the same as a negative over a negative. So sometimes that could come in handy when you have to plot more points in the other direction. So going up 2, right 3 is the same as going down 2 and left 3. Also, as another example, say you have negative 4 as your slope. Well, negative 4 as your slope, you only really see the rise. What's the run? It's over 1. But what if you wanted to not just go down 4 and right 1? Well, you could go up 4 and left 1. Because a negative over a positive and a positive over a negative are really both the same. They're negative numbers. A couple other things. If you have another slope of, so these are just a couple little examples, you write down whatever notes you need to, press pause as you need to. If you have a slope of 0, I'm going to write the word 0 first because I don't want you to think it's an O, something like that. Well, what is that? 0 is 0 over 1. Think of it that way. If you have 0 over a number, that's okay, and it equals 0. So you rise 0, run 1. Rise 0, run 1. That is the slope of a horizontal line. Okay, so we want to make sure that we write that down, okay? Then what about, the other situation? I'm trying to, There you go. See a little bit more of the screen now. That's the slope of a horizontal line. And also when you draw a line, guys, we should have arrows at the end. And it keeps going forever and ever. Otherwise, it's a line segment. Another example, I wrote an example up there already, would be, I don't know if you remember, but not only could your slope be 0 for a horizontal line, but what if we have an undefined slope? So what if M is undefined? So here's another example. What if M is undefined? What the heck does that mean? That really means 1 over 0. Think of it that way. If you have a 0 on bottom, that fraction is undefined, except 0 over 0. That's indeterminate form, but don't worry about that right now. So think of it as being 1 over 0. Then another thing to remember about that 1 over 0 is if you have a number over 0, no, not okay. Okay, no. Think about where those zeros land. That means we go rise 1, run 0. Rise 1, run 0. Rise 1, run 0. Well, that is the slope of what kind of line? Vertical. Make sure you spell vertical correctly. Everyone loves to misspell it. Vertical. Slope of a vertical line. Okay? So we have 4 examples over here on this paper. All right, let me scooch that a little bit over. There you go. So we have 4 examples on here. And make sure you guys copy all of this down and make sure you write down the formula for slope. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, just to kind of look at different slopes. And then we pointed out that a slope of, when m is 0, right? When m is 0, that's the slope of a horizontal line. And when the slope is undefined, that's the slope of a vertical line. You should know the difference between vertical and horizontal. Horizontal goes in the direction of the horizon. Okay? And that was just some advice there. And big important component is the formula. So m equals, and there's your formula. Okay? So let's go into some examples together to get this moving. Find the slope of each line. How are you going to show work for this? Well, there's 2 points on here that are written fairly bold. On your own worksheet, you should be able to see them better. What you're going to do is you're going to write down the ordered pairs of those points. Left 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would be -2, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1, 4, comma 1. So you definitely want to write down your points, okay? Then, if you're drawing your own pictures, then you're going to make sure you draw it really well. Left 2 and up 4, I mean, doesn't have to be to scale, but fairly decent. Over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1. Okay. How are you going to show your work? Show your rise and your run if you wanted to count, or show your formula if you wanted to do the formula. So let's say we wanted to count. Right now I'm up here at 4. If you don't have graph paper, you got to kind of make your own or show it in some way. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. So far my slope, I went down 3, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To the right, that's positive 6. We always reduce our fractions. Both of these can be divided by 3. And if I divide the numerator and denominator by 3, I get -1 over 2. Final answer is m equals -1 over 2. You do not just write an answer, you always show some work, okay? So it went down 3, I'm showing that, and went to the right 6, and I'm showing that as well, okay? Next up, this one. For this example, I'm not just going to count the boxes. Instead, I'm going to find the slope using the formula. My ordered pairs are 1, 2, -3, comma, up or down 0, and 1, 2, 3, 4, up 3, 4, comma, 3. Now we just assign x1, y1, x2, y2. It really doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you stay consistent. From here, maybe write the formula down because you're not a rock star yet. And then we're going to fill in from the formula. 3 minus 0 over 4 minus -3. 3 minus 0 is 3. And 4 minus -3, don't forget your rules, is going to become really 4 plus 3. And then that will become m equals 3 over 7. And that is the end of that example. So in either case, we're able to show work and 2 different techniques. Let's move on. Next, we're going to find it from 2 points. So what if you just don't have a picture? How do you do that? Label x1, y1, x2, y2. So you're just going to use the formula. So use m equals y2, y1 over x2 minus x1 right there. Okay? Now we fill in. M equals 3 minus 3 over 10 minus negative 13. Show your work. You're not a wizard. Show your work. 3 minus 3 is 0. And this on the bottom will become 10 plus 13. If I'm going too fast, hit pause or change the speed by hitting that little gear and changing the playback speed to a slower number if you need it to go a little slower. 0 over 10 plus 13 is 26. Now, I know for the example on the previous page, I used 0 over 1, but 0 over 26 is the same thing. This is okay. It equals 0. So m equals 0. It's a horizontal line. If you're not sure if that makes sense, plot the points and see if I connect these dots, does it make a slope of 0? Does it make a horizontal line? And go from there. What about here? Using that same formula, I'm just going to do a couple more. I'm not going to label this time, but you probably should if you think you struggle. Negative 2 minus 5. Y goes up high. Biggest mistake is people put x on top. 13 minus 4. Negative 2 minus 5 is negative 7. Don't use a calculator. Figure it out. Look up the rule if you have to. 13 take away 4 is 9. Nothing left to reduce. Final answer, m is negative 7 over 9. After that, we have another 9 minus 11 over negative 19 minus negative 14. Don't worry. Take your time if you have to. Press pause if you want to try it yourself, but negative 2 on top. Negative 19 plus 14. I have more negative than positive, so when I add them together, it's going to be negative. I'll have a negative over a negative. My final answer will be positive, but negative 19 plus 14, you're in a hole 19 feet deep. You climb up 14 feet, you're still 5 feet deep. So final answer is 2/5. I always like to rewrite it as its own little equation and circle or put a box around it. M is 2 over 5. Okay, hope this is okay so far. Last one, M equals. Again, if you have to label, please label. If you're getting them wrong and you don't label, well, that might be why you're getting them wrong. Negative 7 minus 9 over negative 8 minus negative 8. Minus negative means plus. Same sign, find sum, keep same sign. That's going to make 16, but keep it negative. Minus and negative is plus, but negative 8 plus 8, it's like you had a hole and you filled in the hole. So it's negative 16 over 0. What did we say about 0 on bottom? I used 1 over 0 as the example, but it spells no. What does that say about your slope? Your slope is undefined. Make a mental note to yourself as well that means it's a vertical line. So I'm going to draw a little picture. That's a horizontal line. Draw a little picture so I remember that's a vertical line. Also, advice, here you can make a 0, and here you can make it say undefined. Keep that in mind, UND. All right, last thing that we're going to go over, this third part, how do you find the slope when you're not given 2 points or you're not given a picture, but you're given an equation? Something you want to remember is y equals mx plus b. That is not slope. The number of times that I ask students what is slope and they tell me y equals mx plus b, I can't even count. This is slope. There's another word, intercept, and it's still not done, form of a line. So this already should be familiar to you. You should have done things with this before. That part right there in front of the x is the slope. That right there is the y-intercept, not just any intercept, the y-intercept. And the slope is whatever's in front of x, not including the x, as long as it's in this form. But we need some more notes for this part. If you have y equals a number, what the heck is happening? That just means you have y equals 0x plus that number, which is b, and the slope is 0 because it's a horizontal line. H-O-R, okay? So a horizontal line, that's what you're gonna have. Jot down some notes for yourself. Similarly, what about a vertical line? Well, let's put a little note for that, maybe over here. So press pause if you need to. V-E-R for vertical. What are we gonna write down? That is actually gonna look like X equals a number. Okay, it's the same number the whole time for X. So we name the line X equals whatever number it is. And that can't be written as Y equals MX plus B. Okay, it's a vertical line and that slope is undefined. You'll talk more about these in the future. So just keep that in mind if that pops up. All right, anyhow, now we're gonna continue with a few examples. You might wanna rewrite this with a 1 in front of that X to help you out because it doesn't look like there's anything there. That means the slope is equal to 1. It's already in Y equals MX plus B form. This one is also already in Y equals MX plus B form, so M is 7/5. Pretty easy. Well, this isn't looking right. What if I subtract 4 from both sides? You want to rearrange a little bit. Now I have X equals -4, but I still can't make it Y equals MX plus B because there's no Y. What's that? It's a vertical line. So what's the slope? Undefined. Similar, if I add 2 to both sides, negative Y equals 2. Then I'm going to divide both sides by a -1. Y, negative Y over -1 becomes just Y. Positive 2 divided by -1 is -2. Well, this still looks a little funny. Maybe you want to write it like this, 0x minus 2. Then what's the slope? 0. Here and here, these are not in slope-intercept form right now. We want them to become slope-intercept form. Your best bet for an example like this is to clear out your fractions. And the way we clear out our fractions is we multiply every term inside an equation by the least common denominator. What is the least common denominator in this example? If you said 3, you're a winner. We're going to multiply everything by 3. That's the smallest denominator we could turn them all into, not 1. I know least sounds like small, but it's 3 because you can multiply this on top and bottom by 3. When you multiply by 3, reduce first. 3 and 3 reduce. So you have -5 over 3 times that Y times 3. I'm writing out the work. X times 3 minus 25 over 3 times 3. Now you might choose to do this in your head, but this 3 and this 3 can reduce because these 3's are all 3's over 1. You don't need to put it over 1, but that's what's going on. And then these 3's cancel out. This is intentional, and this is what should happen when you're using this method. What's left? -5y equals, I'm going to write it as 3x minus 25. Now, we're almost there. It almost looks like y equals mx plus b. I'm going to divide everyone by -5. That gets the y alone, just like you were solving for a variable. What are we left with? Y equals 3 over -5. I'm just going to move that negative to the top and make it -3 over 5. X, negative over a negative is plus, and 5. That's the equation. So m equals -3 over 5. Not -3 over 5x, just -3 over 5. It's just the number in front of x. This one, very similar. What's the least common denominator between 6, 1, and 2? What number can they all grow into by multiples? It would be 6. Now this time I'm not going to show it the same way. The 6 and the 6 reduce. That's on top, bottom. I'm left with -5. Y equals 6 times x. That one's easy, 6x. Minus 6 times 5 over 2. I'll reduce first. 6 over 2 is 3 times 5, 15. Got to get it, y equals mx plus b, so we're dividing everyone by a -5. Don't lose that negative, and make sure you consider it carefully. Y equals, I'm just going to move the negative up, -6 over 5x, and a negative over a negative is plus 3. There's my equation, but that's not the answer. The directions want slope, m equals -6/5. So that is the end of the lesson video. And hopefully these examples set you up for success and you can do your assignment by yourself. And if you think you need help doing some of the assignment, you're just going to watch the next video. If you understand this and you think you can be successful, put a thumbs up. And if you still struggle and you're still confused and need help, put a thumbs down. All right? Have a great day.